Welcome to the Real Ted G podcast. I'm back, and I'm going to introduce Michael Ragasta.
Hello, how are you?
And we'll take it from there. So
looks like you're in charge.
I try to make sure that it doesn't look like I'm in charge, but with any luck, it always feels like I'm in charge. Welcome to my real estate business and my real estate career for 21 years. I don't know how I did it, but I did. So Michael, you're actually I should call you a new recruit. You actually joined our office not too long ago. Has it been 6 months?
It hasn't been 6 months, has it?
It might.
Oh my God.
I saw a friend of mine, he's an attorney, and apparently his baby is 8 months old. And I said, really, that's so weird because I haven't seen you. So I guess I haven't seen you in 8 months.
Everybody always asks me how long I've been in real estate, and I'm always like, it's been 3-4 years. It's been like 8, guys.
Oh, you'd say
I don't know how many times I've done continuing education.
Yeah. So I'll talk about the sales process a little bit because you are one of my agents. So I'm responsible for whether we want to call it mentoring or whether we want to call it expanding your career, elevating your career, maybe even making you even more of a good agent than a great agent that you are currently.
It has been nice. It has been really nice. It's like
so when someone asks you how long you've been in real estate, I don't know, is it the end of the world to say long enough?
That's a perfect answer. I've seen some stuff.
In my first couple of years, I would look at my watch and they'd get scared. I was like, I got your attention.
Oh, that's pretty good.
No, I can't count it on my watch.
This is my first day, actually.
Yeah, welcome. I'd love it to be my first day. I actually would. So, but more importantly, I actually was asking you because it was going. I'm doing something with the agents. I'm individually picking them out, and I'm having what should be casual conversations with them because I think we all learn better I think that we can learn better and we take in the information a lot easier if we're almost tricked. We're having a conversation. Yesterday we saw our friend Eric, and he was in the office. He was doing some envelopes so he can get his calendars out there, real estate 101. And while he's doing that, what do I ask him? I ask him, hey, Eric, I'm trying this thing out. Just, let me ask you, what is I call it the back nine.
Cool name.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I know.
Branding.
That's what I do.
Is that yours? That's your thing?
The real Ted D did just come out of thin air.
All right.
The back 9 is totally mine. I actually started with 10. I was going to call it the back 10. And I said, that doesn't have a ring to it.
No, go with the golf term.
So, yeah, go with the golf so we can, well, that would be baseball, hit it out of the park. But maybe a hole in one. When it comes to real estate, everyone that one transaction that from start to finish is just smooth and beautiful.
That's how we met.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Through a real estate transaction and then a podcast.
Yeah.
So I call it the back 9. And I'm going, start as Derek. Eric, I'm just curious. Take your last 9 transactions, listings and sales. I like to put everything in nice, simple terms. And we just went with the back 9. And I said, Eric, tell me where. Okay, so start with the most recent first, and let's work our way backwards. Where did that transaction come from? All right, where did that? And it's also obviously we're almost upon Thanksgiving, so the year is coming to an end, and we're working on regrouping and new business and everything. So back to the back 9, and he just went over this address. All right, that person. Oh, he's on the same little league team as my kids. He coaches, they coach. All right, so we call that sphere of influence. And then he kept going.
What's my nickname for Eric? What did I tell you when we first brought him in?
Oh, he's the mayor.
He's the mayor.
Yeah.
He talks to everybody everywhere he goes. The kids, even the same thing.
Yeah. So, and it shows. It shows because I'm not part of that community, and I can see from his transactions that it's all sphere of influence, and that's people that already know and like you.
Yeah.
So in short, it was like, all right, so what are we going to do? We're going to focus on that. And while I'm speaking to him, I'm thinking, good, he's stuffing those calendars to go out to these people that already know and like him.
Right.
So, and in his case, I believe it was like 100%, 9 out of 9 was a sphere of influence.
Yeah.
And I've had these indirect conversations with several agents over the years, but now I'm just calling it the back nine. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And like, for instance, I can't wait to speak to one of my other agents. And I think that she has a very mixed batch of back nine. I think that you were going to see that someone might have been a buyer, or several were buyers. So we're going to focus on that. Now, how do we expand? How do we grow?
How do we use that information going forward and target those areas?
And we're going to do your back nine as well.
Okay.
Oh, I can see how this is going to have a problem. I'm cool with it. The back nine. So
was that a golf swing?
Oh, I'm so horrible. I can't even say the word golf. Sometimes it sounds like the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah.
And then sometimes golf. So if you can't say it, I have a bad golf swing because I do not, when it comes to golf, I obviously don't commit, because I think the best golf swing is when you really commit and you just go for it, and then you go, like, I think I have a pause right at the end.
You don't follow through?
When it comes to that,
the whole thing. Oh, man.
I know. How horrible is it? Everything else you can vouch for. I do follow through.
I'm really looking forward to my Wednesdays with you here, Ted, on this podcast.
Yeah. I know. And I feel that's an equalizer. I feel like if maybe golf is maybe the one thing that I really don't follow through on. And hopefully that'll be the only thing.
You seem like you follow through on everything else. You do. All jokes aside.
Why we're back here at the Real Ted G podcast.
You promised you would, right?
I said I'll be back.
Yeah.
And I know it wasn't bad for business. So obviously I'm all real estate all the time.
I like that you stopped because it was successful and then you had a bunch of business, and it's like, yeah, stop doing it then. Good.
Back to the back nine, my own back nine, where I have to say recruit and listings. Like there's an old book now. It is an old book. That's so amazing. It talks about 10,000 hours. It's a book called Outliers. It's about people that excelled in their fields. 10,000 hours. So I take it for granted. I have my 10,000 hours when it comes to real estate. I do not know everything, and I have not seen everything in real estate. Because in real estate, just when you think you may know it all, trust me, you don't. So
what sets you aside from other either agents or brokers who I've gone to for help before,
and other gods,
and is when I ask you a question, if you don't know the answer, we definitely find out right then and there.
And sometimes not then and there, because if anything's worth doing, you should do it right. So sometimes it takes me a day.
I just never feel like I'm out here hanging. You know, I
you
never
can be
feel
vulgar
like
on this little podcast. I know I talk about cursing. I just don't believe cursing. If I'm at a client's house, I'm not going to say, "Are you fucking out of your mind?"
I have been holding back so many curses right now.
And no,
my God! Did you hear me say stuff earlier? That was weird.
Well, here, I'm a little surprised that you are fairly lax with the curse words, and you have two little girls.
Yeah, and you know what's
two
amazing?
little kids. Doesn't matter if they're girls or boys.
Is I've always I curse around them when I'm making a real point, like, and they always like hear it. And but what's weird? They don't curse. It's weird. It's really weird. I figured that they would pick up a lot of bad habits, and so far they're good kids.
So I'll apologize, because I think when we did the original Welcome Back episode, which was all over the place.
The pilot that's scrapped?
It's scrapped but not forgotten. It's going to make its way back into like different reels where if you think the camera adds 10 pounds, that day the camera added 42 pounds. And I'm going to have some choice music behind it, so we're going to work on that. But what I did say, which I actually want to say, I don't think I agree with myself today. I think on something like this, we should have more authenticity. So if you want to curse, you should feel free to curse.
I'm probably going to curse a little bit.
Yeah, I just So when it comes to
make it a drinking game if you want.
Yeah. Oh, I'm trying to stay away from drinking a little bit, because that extra 42 pounds on camera impacted me.
Not to promote drinking. Can I tell you a little story? Get sidetracked real quick.
Yeah.
So I was in a touring band for years, and we were doing podcasts and interviews, all this type of stuff. Anytime that we were at like a party, anytime we were at a social situation, we're surrounded by musicians, and I always had this go-to to break the ice. I would introduce everybody in the room to this drinking game that I made up, me and my brothers. It's based on the Creed video for, I think it's My Sacrifice.
All right. So My Sacrifice. I do know that song.
You drink every time Scott Stapp goes like this. Anytime he goes like this, you drink. It's shocking. And I had like shtick that I would do and I would tell the story, and then we would play the game, and it was nuts. And it really is crazy. Recently on a few popular podcasts, and this has been, this is like 10, 15 years old, whatever, however long that video is. Recently, I've seen other podcasts going, hey, have you played the Scott Stapp drinking game? And so from all of the touring and everything, this thing has gotten out there. And I don't know if I'm the only person I don't know, but we've been playing this game since the day the video came out. It was our thing. It was our go-to joke. But to see it like come around, I'm like, now, so what do I do? I have to find Scott Stapp and get him to play the game with me. I think that's where I'm at. And,
I think you're right.
I actually, and
Is that it?
I met him at an airport. That's what he's doing. At one point, he's in a boat. He reaches into the water, pulls himself out of the water into the boat, and they're both doing it at the same time. That's a double shot. You're gonna get fucked up.
Yeah.
You're gonna get fucked up.
I know.
But no, I went to.
I said okay to cursing.
I did. I went to Las Vegas to get married to my wife. That's who you get married to, and we land.
Oh, is that who you get married to? As opposed to other people's wives?
That's how it works. We land back in New York. I see a guy holding a sign that says S Stapp, and I'm like, holy shit.
He's on there.
I got a picture with him, and I did it in the picture. Also, I'm not a Creed fan, so the fact that all this is a thing.
That's the only song I know.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. Not a fan. But
that's a great drinking game.
Anyway, play it. Try it right now.
I haven't played a drinking game in more than 30 years. I do remember beer pong somewhere. Yeah, I haven't played a drinking game in a very long time. Yes,
not good at it.
Yeah, doesn't mean I don't drink. But, so anyway, so if
that was a big sidetrack. Sorry, guys.
so what you're saying is everyone has their put my sweater on, and I'm sure I do too. And that might be the only way that you could watch this podcast. Maybe it could create a drinking game. I would say I'm going to play a private mental drinking game. Every podcast, I'm going to see how long it takes for you to bring up that you were in a rock band.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Did I mention it on the podcast? Did I mention it on the podcast? No, but I did say I'm top producer October. That's 2024.
You've always mentioned that you were in a rock band.
It comes up. It comes up.
I knew you were in a rock band before I knew you had kids.
It's such a it's such a the reason I am the way I am, and it's good for you to know this thing about me, because it's like, I don't know, just even to see how I approach real estate, and most of our job is just being around people, socializing, and
Well, I have mentioned that I'd like you to bring your guitar in, and I'd love to do a rendition of songs you don't play at a closing.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, give me one.
Let me think. Oh, this is My Sacrifice.
Oh, perfect.
It should always be a win-win.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. Meeting of the minds.
Yeah. I mean, movie lines you shouldn't say at a closing. I'd have to come up with a whole list. I'd like my top 10. I'll come up with it, and next podcast we'll go through the top 10. Top 10 things you don't want to hear at a closing. Top 10 songs you don't want to play at a closing. And yes, I'll go with that.
My back nine has a surprisingly little amount of business because of. Did I mention it was in a band?
Yeah,
it's surprising that because people care when I post stuff about that, and they know I'm a realtor, and then I see them buy houses, and I'm like, yo, you should call me. And we spoke on the first time I came in here. we had a conversation about that very thing. And you were like, well, why don't you post a video explicitly saying that? And I did.
I did see that.
And I did it later that day, and I ended up with a few like out of state referrals. And I was like, oh,
a couple bucks.
Well, like, all right. Like, but guys, call me.
So here's my back nine. My back nine is by reiterating that I'm so good at what I do.
You are very good at it.
What you're saying is you took my advice.
I took your advice
for the 10 minutes that I talked to you, and you actually made money.
Ted's usually right
when it comes to making money.
Yeah.
Yes, I can vouch for that.
It's true. It's true.
A few people have asked me for like relationship advice, which I don't understand why they would, but I don't know if they took it or not. But I don't know if they think I'm so right.
We should take like one call a week for relationship advice from
just
Ted.
One email, or
just something for Ted.
The
Ted
two people that are watching this, write down if you have a question.
Very good.
Yeah, any kind of advice. Yes. How about you answer real estate advice, and I'll answer relationship. I'll answer rock and roll advice.
Perfect. Okay. I'll watch it.
Yeah. So what we're saying is, there's the back nine, and then there's what we would love to be, the new back nine. You want your referral base, people that already know and like you in the rock and roll band, live playing. Like I'm sure it's a whole community. I know it because you've told me it's a whole community out there.
Yeah.
Side note: your brothers wrote songs for Jelly Roll.
It's true.
One in particular is a hit, is a number one hit.
One of them was a big hit,
and then the next one should be a hit too.
I hope so. Yeah. He played it on Saturday Night Live. It was very exciting.
Yeah. I always talk about how real estate seems to be a field that does attract like people that may at one point have wanted to be.
Can you see your headshots in this shot?
No, and I'm not going to risk poor Bing. I think they've been in every other video. So okay. Yeah,
as long as the listener viewer is aware that Ted has 3 of his headshots from his acting career hanging right behind him right now.
Yeah. Oh, I used to have it as a breaking the ice moment. I would bring my portfolio that had. Everyone can admit I could take a good picture.
Oh, regular Derek Jeter over here.
My pictures are really nice. I put them on billboards for a reason.
It is true.
I'm not even saying that I look like my pictures. I'm just saying that my pictures look really nice. And it has to do with always using a professional photographer. Obviously for my houses as well, but with me, yes. And knowing a few things that come with, I'm going to go back all the way back to the 10,000 hours. The 10,000 hour book, The Outliers, knowing a few things over the course of doing how many, I think I've done 4 photo shoots for real estate alone. And that's all fun. You pay for it. But I've always seen such a correlation between people that may have wanted to be actors, musicians, creative. And real estate can kind of combine that, because you really almost never know what you're going to get from the day to day in real estate.
Sure.
I could meet someone and they start working with me, for me. I don't know whatever choice of words people like to use these days. And they start working for me, and they're a rock star. They can go on stage and play with a rock band. Something I can't do.
Oh, you just haven't tried it yet.
Yeah, only thing I can do is maybe sit on a piano and pretend to sing. So
I can't wait to see. Yeah, is that the Christmas party? Is that what's happening?
Oh, I know.
I'll watch it.
Party. Yes,
I'll go to that.
You'll go to that. Now you go to everything. What are my 2 non-negotiables? My 2 non-negotiables are no sneakers and attend office meetings. So back to the back nine being something that you want to say, wait, I know so many people in the community of the music community from the past. You must have come into contact. So my way of I would probably say you have to do as much as. Oh, look who didn't unplug the phone today. As much in the way of promoting yourself as a real estate agent. And yes, I think, I cringe sometimes, maybe sometimes we post too much. We post, just this house just listed. And then you post it 3 other times that it just listed. And then you post it that it's having an open house. And then you post it that it closed and it's sold. And it's all good. Just do it once. See, I'm on my Facebook, has all realtors on it. So I have MLS access, so I can see everyone's.
Not trying to bring it back to being in a band, but I can tell you exact reasons why the band as successful as we were and as good at what we were doing as we felt like we were. I don't know if we were, but people seemed to like it. Where things went wrong, we should have hired people to do the parts that we couldn't do and trust other people. We needed to outsource certain things. Promotion, social media, all of that type of stuff.
Side note, Elvis,
we shouldn't have tried to do any of that ourselves.
Elvis is the king. I don't care what anyone could ever say. He is he's the first one. Yeah. So he is the king. And let's look at it. Would he have been what he became without his management?
Oh my God!
I mean, talk about a marketer.
He was a marketer. He seemed like a really good guy.
So he took talent and drive and ambition.
What was his name?
The Colonel.
Colonel.
Yeah. I know. I know most of my Elvis shit.
Yeah.
I like Elvis is the king to me. Everything I could never be because I don't have that talent. I may or may not have that ambition, but yeah, that talent was anyway. Enough about the king. Let's talk about me. No,
but that was one of the things that brought me here and to you.
Elvis?
No, the outsourcing. Honestly, like the parts where I'm like, I know which parts of this job I'm not good at, and it was the same thing with the band where I was like, just put me in front of people. I got the rest. I just need you to put me in front of people, but I didn't hire the people to do those parts of the job. When I came here, you filled a lot of those shoes for like everything where I was like, hey, do you think we could try this? And you were like, yeah, let's do it. And then it's happening. And it's like, oh my God, this unbelievable support on top of the know-how and the support where it's, we don't always know everything.
Well, back to one of my two non-negotiables is attend office meetings. I don't know why it happens, but I've seen that agents that attend office meetings tend to be a little more successul. I do know why. It's because exposure to office meetings, especially ours, but I'm sure everyone's. I can say that there's a lot of people in the industry that really do want to better the industry, better themselves, do better for their clients. So we're among a very choice group of people. Attending office meetings puts real estate in your brain, puts real estate in your mind. You see that things are done. You think that things are going on. Even when we are slow, you see that agents are making sales, are taking listings. So it's out there. It's just a reminder. It's a lot like when people say, I never go to the office. Go to the office. And, so this is
showing up.
Teaching. Yep. You've made it a point to, in particular, one of the reasons to come to us was at least there's a, brick and mortar office that you can attend, you can show up to, sit down at a desk and do real estate, do work.
For a while, I was trying to get away from that. And at the time I was a stay-at-home dad and everything. It was, did I mention I was in a band? No, it was that I have kids. Ted knows that. I was a stay-at-home dad and everything like that. And, I was trying to get away from the office environment because I was like, I'm going to the office and I'm doing things there that weren't helping me. And I just wasn't using my time wisely. I wasn't structuring my day. I didn't know what I was going to be doing before I got there, making lists before I got there so I can jump right in. And then it's amazing when you are here and working that the phone rings. I'm here working on other shit, and the phone rings.
It's a lot. It's that phrase that people say, "Life happens." Oh my gosh, I don't know the phrase.
Yeah, no,
life happens when you're busy making plans for life. I don't know how the exact phrase goes now. I've seen it online. I'm sure I'm going to see it online right after this because it's going to be like, oh, we knew you screwed that up. Yeah. So yes, life happens while you think you're planning, but life happens, and that is 100% true. I've seen it. I've experienced it. I've experienced, maybe not being too busy and just finding busy work to do, whether it's previewing a house for all I know, previewing a house or just going over our...
Life is what happens when you're busy making other plans.
Life is what happens when you're busy making other plans.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Bing. My favorite producer.
Bing.
And again, in like real estate, work, business is what happens when you're busy attending an office meeting that could have been an email. You know, and that sounds all funny, but you know what? Don't sacrifice the experience if it's available to you. If I have to be, you know, if you have to a medical procedure, it's understandable. You know, I find it so funny when, you know, I've said I have two non-negotiables to be on the team, the team, not the team. I cannot dictate. I cannot force people to go to office meetings. No broker can. We're independent contractors. But I can force people that are on the direct team and expect leads and to be on leads and to be on listings. I can definitely, you know, have non-negotiables. And when I say things like, you know, attend the office meetings, you're attending the office meeting, and then for some weird reason, you know, your cousin calls and says, I have this person, they're going to be buying a house. You want to help them? It's weird. It is weird how it happens.
It really does. It's like universe shit.
It is a universe. Do we
That's
say
the
things?
scientific word. It's universe shit.
Universe shit.
Universe shit.
If you say it differently,
I like
it
the
doesn't
way
sound so
you
bad.
say it better.
Yeah,
I like that.
universe shit.
Universe shit.
Yeah, it's amazing. Do we say things that happen to come true, or do we say things because they're going to come true, and the universe, the vibrational forces of the air bring them to us? It's chicken or the egg.
Yeah.
Chicken or the egg. And so, but anyway, so I like to say things. Put things out there. And whether it's because of my own belief that it happens, a lot of universe shit has happened.
Universe shit.
And that's why it's important to fill your head and your mind with positivity.
Yeah.
So, but back to the back nine. My goal with you would be that to try to involve a merging of the two communities. If I Googled your name, I'm probably going to see a lot more about your past with the rock and roll band. I might not see your Zillow profile if it doesn't have that many reviews. They don't come up on the search engines. So, what our goal would be is to get the two to kind of combine, anyway, that would be my, so my back nine was I was going to try to make this into a little bit of a recruiting video where I've sat down with a couple of agents. One has already joined us. She came from an independent brokerage and she wants to really, step up her game. Nice young lady. And then, so I've interviewed her and she joined. And, what's the difference between people? And this is where, you can actually see potential success. Where I've interviewed someone else that tells me their business is not where they want it to be. They seem relatively hardworking. I can't vouch for them. If you don't work with someone, you don't know if there's two things I know I can't fix: lazy and stupid.
Yeah.
So everything else I can probably work around and make into our own recipe for success. So this other candidate, in particular, there's two other candidates that I've sat with. They're both with a similar brokerage, which is a lot of do-it-yourselfer kind of programming in exchange for a specific type of split structure. So, and if you're telling me, this is my frustration, and I'm talking to you like an agent that was in the same position.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious, what made it click for you? So if someone is telling you, I like everything about where I am overall. I'm not where I want to be with my business. I have not expanded my business. I work really hard. I do know the concepts. I am competent. I consider myself competent as an agent.
Yeah.
I just haven't been able to, it's like I have the wings. I just haven't been able to fly. And if I say, well, here's the tools or the wings or, tools to fix your wings, or to expand your wings or to train you how to fly. And here's how I've been successful with other candidates. The first candidate I was successful with was me. And then obviously when I became a manager and being able to mentor and train individual agents. All right. So, and here's a system and you still go back to, but I like the systems.
You're saying that it's not successful. And
that's what they're saying.
I know.
Correct.
That's what this person. So it's like that insanity thing where you keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results.
Oh, that's the definition of insanity.
Right? Like, so.
Yes, I forgot about that.
So there's an aspect of that. I guess you got to always find out what is motivating each person. It's like with a seller, you want to find out what's motivating this particular person before I go and write up an offer, so I can cater my terms to them if I can.
This person actually told me that one of their motivating factors is they're a younger person, and they want to make sure that they can help their parents. Pay off their mortgage maybe. I don't know, there should be, very, very few higher motivators than helping financially your family or yourself.
What is the thing that's keeping them there specifically other than like the system? It's like because the split being a little different, what you're offering here more than pays for that difference. Like it's not.
Well, this is what I mean. I can't fix. There's two things that I definitely am not able to work with. And if you ever notice the natural transition of agents in and out, lazy and stupid. Though not that I'm so smart, but I do know I'm not lazy. So I know lazy does not. Like it just doesn't coordinate with me. So I know I'm just, lazy and stupid. And I think that the biggest and the best trick in real estate, and some people in general, and I may or may not be one of them, it is knowing who to listen to. One of the reasons I started the podcast the last time around was I had this brand new agent, really nice young lady, and she kept telling me about this podcast that she watches with a woman, a female agent, who's saying a specific style of advice. Walk away, honey. Need that kind of, a high maintenance client or something. And it's not that I wouldn't walk away from a client that I know I'm not going to work with well, but I'm different than the brand new agent that has no business. It's like that client that's going to be a lot of work and a lot of trouble is probably going to be a lot of learning experience. Yeah. Even if it doesn't mean a lot of money already. But so that's different advice. And I asked her, very nice, articulate young lady. I said, so who is this person that's this podcast? At first, I didn't even know I actually had barely any idea what podcasts were. So she said, oh, it's so-and-so. And I said, so how much business does she do? That's when I was my first years in the business, I listened to my broker. Guess what? He was around for 30 years and he did a lot of business. Yeah. So I didn't listen to the agent giving me advice who actually couldn't manage to get one transaction put together. And I was lucky. I had a broker that said it like it was. And I would love to be at that level of non-bullshit tolerant. He said, how many listings did you take or deals did you make? I said, I don't know. I lost count, Jim. 20, so, and the one. And then he's like, he looks at me and says, yeah, definitely you should listen to her. And I know and he said it like more of an asshole. Yeah. But yes, but maybe it was, he nipped it in the bud. I always get that phrase wrong. Is it nip it in the bud or is it nip it in the butt?
I think it's bud.
Bud. Okay, because I was wondering what you would nip in the bud. So there he is. It was like the best thing for me to hear, but it was the even bester thing for me to listen to.
It gave you confidence in that moment too.
It gave me confidence that I'm working for an asshole.
But, well, a lot of the time, honestly,
and he was a great asshole.
Listen, new agents, I would say, you should be interviewing with more than one brokerage. A lot of finding out for me, it was like finding out, okay, well, what kind of agent do I not want to be? And like, I like to sleep at night. I like to know that if I'm helping somebody, I'm really helping them. And I want to earn my paychecks and feel good about it, And so a lot of my first few years in real estate was observing everything around me, seeing agents on the other sides of deals, everything, and learning from what were the offers coming in on my listings? What did they look like? How were these agents getting creative with their terms? How would I have done it differently? And the ethical standpoints, there's a lot of that.
Coldwell Banker has been voted, I believe, the last 12 years running the most ethical companies to work for.
Huh.
Yeah, no,
I
it's
didn't know that.
There's a whole bunch of quotables that I actually have not had time to really digest. One of the other quotables, and I get to share this one because it's 100% true when I do side by side comparisons. We sell our homes for more money. We actually do actually get anywhere between 10 to 14% higher in value than the national average.
And now, do you think that there's brand recognition there that feeds into that, or is it?
I think it's one part
we
brand
are
recognition.
recruiting talented agents. Like, what is it?
I actually do believe. I'm sure there's some brand recognition. Everyone expects to pay more when they walk into a Bentley dealership. Everyone expects to pay more when you're in a Mercedes dealership. So one part brand recognition, and I think the other part is, even if it's just on a subtle level, training, statistics. If you are told, and you have statistical facts to back it up, that your company sells houses for more money, guess what? When you're there negotiating for your seller, guess what? That's in there. That's in your brain, and you know that you have Big Blue behind you, and it's like, you know what? I'm gonna make my company proud. I still have the listing board. We write listings on a board. Yes, I'm not digital.
It's nice.
I'm not the real digital Ted. So we write listings on the board. Oh yeah. Oh, this is, and now I definitely had to have gotten this from my first broker. This attitude. That I wrote them in different colors depending on the compensation associated with them. Okay. I don't know if that's a mean thing to do or not. So my agents...
Is it mean? Why?
My agents were always the strongest agents in negotiations.
Okay.
Negotiating sales prices, negotiating their own fee for service. And I'm very proud to say that. And I'm very proud to say I feel like my company right now is one of the last of the Mohegans. We're there because we have value. And the minute you forget you have value, then you actually, it's a trickle down effect. Same reason I kind of go with the cursing thing.
Yeah.
I think that if you're too free with cursing, you'll end up cursing in front of the wrong person.
Sure.
So I like flagellation.
This is a perfect way to transition into our main topic. We've had boots on the ground. It's been a few months. We should probably talk about this in our stuff.
Right?
Yeah.
September, October, November. Oh, actually, almost to the day.
Yeah.
So 3 months ago, so because there was a lawsuit about 16 months ago, I think that's how long it was. There was a class action lawsuit that affected the real estate industry. A lot of the big companies, depending on the size of your company, there was a class action lawsuit from sellers that equated to, they felt that they were being told what compensation to offer the buying side of the transaction. And by being told that something is the norm, this is the going rate. And this is my very simplistic explanation. I'm definitely not a lawyer, and I couldn't even explain the terms, but obviously people can sue and people can do class action lawsuits. And the gist of it, as I understand it, is that the sellers proved, they proved it close enough because all of these companies we settled, and they were proving that maybe there was price fixing, and I don't believe that is the case in the majority of real estate. The way I know the people that are in real estate, I know the good agents in real estate. Oh, I know some of the bad ones too. I know the good agents in real estate, and I know the good agents that, yes, if we have to, put a armchair and a couch in the back of the listing agent's pickup truck to take it to a dumpster so we don't have an issue at the closing. I know the agents that, yes, they will go to the house and vacuum and maybe dust it off a little bit.
I'm steam cleaning my new listing. This Friday.
A little bit goes a long way. Yeah. So I know all of those agents, and I don't think out there, according to Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, I have to renew my account. So I got locked out of TikTok. But at TikTok, all I see I mean, yes, I'm on occasion I put on a Spider-Man suit. Do my clients like it? Maybe. Maybe some like it more than others. But again, so you do some funny stuff. But I do see the common trend in real estate, and I don't know if we're just trying to say, oh, look how amazing I am. It's so much easier to say it, right? Look at that. I'm very natural. I'm so amazing. Just say it. Just go ahead and say it. I'm so amazing.
Drink every time Ted says how amazing he is.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great drinking game. Yeah, especially if you like to drink a lot. No, I actually I do a very bad job of getting client reviews, so I'm going to do better on that. That's my back nine. My back nine that I want to make the front nine. But all I saw were, if an agent took a picture or they're driving in traffic and you had to have the Mercedes or the AMG, and it's like, okay, that's fine. That's good. Almost anyone can drive a Mercedes. You just have to make the payment. And I saw a lot of that. And I saw a lot of, I did a couple of fun posts. I think mine were, I equate them to fun. I did an open house on my favorite house in the whole world, 21 Princess Gate. And it was a fun open house. I had 48, maybe 50 real estate brokers, and it was a party atmosphere. I showcased it because the house was very prone to a party at an 800 square foot kitchen. What else are you going to do? Either do Thanksgiving or a party. So, it was nice. Did I do it to promote the listing? Absolutely. Did I do it to promote myself? Because if we don't promote marketing 101, if you're not in front of people's faces, they're not going to know you're there. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I do see a lot of, oh, look at me and look at what I have. You see it in rap videos.
Just bragging.
Yeah. And I guess it is bragging, but it's not bragging if it's true. So anyway, I saw a lot of that. And back to the NAR and this class action lawsuit, and I actually disagree with the lawsuit. Obviously, I know how we do commissions in New York State, and specifically in my own company. It's always been negotiable. It's always been a choice. In fact, when we list homes, in the past, now we've slightly adjusted to make it even easier and simpler. A seller always knew that they were going to be responsible, and they got to choose.
Your listing appointments. That's the problem. So I think a lot of this could have been solved with an extra form and an extra disclosure that says it was explained to you outright that the commission is negotiable and that there is no standard set fee. I think that lazy agents were going into these listing appointments and saying this is a standard. This is standard.
Well, there's a phrase that I did not come up with, a national speaker. He's passed away now, but he always said this comes from Keeping Current Matters. So a gentleman who invented that, his company, Steve Harney, he always said, I'm going to botch that quote too.
Okay, all right, we got big.
Good agent and great. A good agent can. I'm going to go back to this one. Well, anyway, it all comes down to, if you want to be a great agent, you should be able to understand and explain and teach what's going on.
And then you have to back it up and show your value.
I say it all the time. I think my clients are the most educated clients, not because they went to law school or med school. They are most educated because they get a crash course in real estate 101. Here's what's going to happen. Here's what we're going to do. Here is what the real estate transaction is going to look like ideally. And here's what
when we go to these appointments, we don't expect the consumer to know anything about it. Like, we do have to educate. And I think some people just assume that, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's laziness or what, but
back to attending office meetings, taking advantage of any education that you can when it comes to the real estate industry. Know numbers, know what's selling in your neighborhood. That's the basics. Know the inventory in your neighborhoods. That's the basics. Know what the average sales price is. Know that the median sales price has gone up by almost if I remember, I feel like it's gone up by 5%, like every 6 months or something.
Like that.
That means we're pushing the needle to where the prices are continuing to go up and up. And know what that means. Know what the average sales price means versus the median sales price. So little things like that. And there's the information is out there. Am I 100%? Do I know everything? Absolutely not. I know I don't know everything. What I do know, I try to make sure that I know it well.
All right, so
Back to the NAR.
Yeah, so
Yes.
we've been
So enough about the lawsuits, the pros and cons of the lawsuits. The lawsuit itself, a lot of large companies settled. By settling, and obviously our National Association of Realtors settled, and in exchange for settling with the lawsuit for actually like $1 gazillion. Actually, it came down to the lawyers making about $150 million.
a lot of attorneys made a lot of money.
And each of the recipients, this class action lawsuit that was there to benefit the wronged home seller, I think they actually walked away with about $5,000 or $6,000 each. So the lesson there is go to law school. So anyway, as a result, as much as I might have been against the lawsuit because I don't think it depicted real estate and real estate agents and what they do in the right light or in the overall correct light, the changes that were made, you were there. I'm teaching the new forms that we are supposed to use to our agents. And I feel that maybe they make life even simpler. They drew the line that every buyer does need a buyer agreement in order to tour homes, with the exception of the listing agent's listings. And there are going to be exceptions that can be made here and there, but I wouldn't get into those details on an online forum.
Well, it makes the buyer and the buyer agent relationship way less casual. It's now you're basically getting hired to do the job. You're settling up on what's the commission going to be up front and where's it coming from.
You don't remember this because it happened 21 years ago. When I first started in real estate, the agency form was changed because there was a survey done by, lo and behold, the National Association of Realtors. Such a bad entity that's always been there to help the consumer. And there was a survey done in New York. It's applied to New York agency laws, that the consumer didn't realize that most of the time when a consumer bought a house in New York 21 years ago, the agent who sold them the house, their agent was actually the seller's agent through the brokerage that was representing the property, or was the brokerage that was representing the property.
So not representing the buyer.
So the buyer relationship was a customer relationship, and even though it was disclosed in the agency form, they changed the agency form. So in the last 21 years, they changed the agency form 21 years ago for the first time in I don't know how long or ever. Then 2 years after that, they changed it again because I guess we weren't explaining it right. So they changed that form. So those are the two changes that happened within 21 and 20 years ago, right? Okay. Then 20 years later, everything seems to change. We first had the property condition disclosure statement in New York, and now I'm speaking very specifically about New York, and even more specifically,
everywhere else it was always something that you did.
And and also in New York we use lawyers. So here we have not just one change, not two changes, three. I think we've had a series of almost like three. Actually, we're going to have the fourth change in a little while.
Happening like today.
That's happening December 3rd, yes. So here we have the property condition disclosure statement in New York was always that property condition disclosure statement has to be filled out. If it's not filled out, the seller just has to pay a $500 waiver fee. And
that's $500 you'll ever spend.
Right, to eliminate the idea of the possibility of lawsuits. Oh, does that sound familiar? Lawsuits, especially class action lawsuits. So that was one change that happened. That actually happened in September. I just have to remember all the correct dates, or was that in July? So, and the reason I really actually do remember all this is because I had a listing that all the transitions were just on it. Like, it was like, okay, now we have to fill this out. Okay.
See, that one I don't mind. When I have a listing, that property condition disclosure, that big packet that we make the homeowner fill out, doesn't technically have to be.
We don't make them fill it out.
No,
New York State says they have to fill it out.
But that usually doesn't even go to the buyer until contracts go out. It goes with the contract. With me, the way that I negotiate, I put it on the listing. I let them have it right up front before you make an offer.
That has to do with the way individual agents would like to work. But
yes, very much so. But before you make an offer, I make you very aware of everything. That way, you can't use it to negotiate after.
See, I disagree on that.
Do you? Oh,
I disagree because
you would still negotiate. You mean, or
no?
or
I disagree on that because we have very specific hats that we wear, and I always wear the seller agent hat a lot more than I wear the buyer agent hat.
Sure.
And from a buyer agent perspective, I think that would be amazing. You probably advise them and say, well, this and this and this, let's negotiate. I feel if I'm negotiating in my seller's best interest, I am definitely, and listen, if I was negotiating in my buyer's best interest, I'd probably request it from any agent and say, oh, let me see what I can use to my advantage, especially if I knew that from before. So in terms of the seller's best interest, why this is, in my opinion, selling 101. Why would I make anything an issue if it's not an issue? Let's pretend that a buyer loves the house, and they just love it. They love it. It checks all the boxes. But because they're presented with a form that says 5 years ago it was treated for termites, maybe they have a phobia for termites.
Okay.
So I feel that automatically derails the opportunity of an offer.
Interesting.
Also, from my perspective, if a buyer hires me, and they have actually recently, oddly enough, buyers came out of the woodwork.
Buyers.
Yeah, a good friend. A good friend of mine had his childhood friend. Him and his wife were buying a house. So I came out of buyer agent retirement, and so if a buyer hires me, I don't forget the real purpose they hired me for. They didn't hire me to negotiate a lower price. Might be one of the byproducts, which is great. They didn't hire me to make sure that, let me think, give me another nice little simple, make sure that the house didn't have termites or negotiate a free termite inspection or a free termite treatment. They hired me to find a house. So I feel that I need them to discover what the right house is. And the way they can, this is the way I would probably raise children, which is probably the craziest way. I would want them to discover it. I would want them to go in with a nice, open, positive, plentiful mindset. Glass half full, never half empty. I don't go into a house and put my opinions into them by, this is a main road. Oh gosh, I would never be able to walk my dog. That's me.
Yeah.
Maybe they hate their dog.
Yeah.
And this is going to be an improvement. I'm going to let that door open.
Everybody's motivated by different things. Everybody cares about different things.
So I like the discovery. In fact, when I do work with buyers, and maybe I do this with sellers, but not as much. With sellers, I'm getting used to this. Here's the keys, Ted. We're moving out. I have no idea how many sellers have that mindset these days, and it's amazing. It's so I get to do whatever I want. I'll get the cleaning lady. I'll get the landscaper. I'll handle everything.
Yeah.
But with the buyer, I feel like we're on the journey together, and I think it's important to discover every house, especially if it's the first time I'm in the house. It's like the first time I'm seeing the house. Let's figure this out. So I may be doing business a different way, and that is the beautiful thing about real estate. This is why I say
you have options, guys.
Yeah. So the property condition disclosure statement is a very simple rule change, and I think the industry adapted, at least from my perspective, really nice.
Doesn't seem to be
I don't think anyone's fazed by it. Everyone thought they would be. I even had a lawyer teach the class on it so we could be aware of it. Yeah. Again, we're not supposed to fill it out with them, but why wouldn't you know about it? So unless you bought a house in the last 6 months, you are not aware of what it might even look like. Mm-hmm. But it's important when a buyer sees it, maybe explain what some of those questions mean or can mean. And when a seller sees some of these daunting questions, like, do you ever know of any? I mean, some of these questions are very far-fetched. Well, I'm not psychic, and I'm definitely not 105 years old, so I know I haven't seen the house since the day it was built.
Well,
and I definitely don't know about the land.
To the best of your ability, too.
Yeah.
You're answering these questions.
So anyway, we adapted really well on that one. That one was like, wow, the industry is great.
Yeah.
Then we have the next rule change, which was part of the class action lawsuit that I originally started talking about 22 minutes ago.
Wild West.
Yeah. And some people we may view it as the Wild West, but we're making it the Wild West.
Well, because everybody's doing it differently, though. Everybody's interpretation of it out of the gate was a little different.
My interpretation is so simple that I don't understand why everyone doesn't have the same one.
It is simple.
Yeah, it's right. You understand it. Line in the sand. The National Association of Realtors, thanks to the lawsuit, agreed unilaterally for all companies that are part of the national NAR. You have to use this paperwork, and there's just specific disclosures, including property theft, the Property Theft Act, and everything. So it safeguards for a lot of things, for a buyer and for a seller. But the main point change was we are no longer displaying the compensations towards the buyer agent, no longer allowed to display them on our MLSs. And I don't disagree, because I take it a step further on the simple scale, where it's telling me that if you're representing the seller, we discuss compensation, we negotiate compensation, cost of doing business, and it's dictated in my paperwork. My seller knows exactly what they're paying for the listing of their property.
Mm-hmm.
At closing. So
we
only get paid if it closes.
It also leaves room there for opportunity for the clients.
The next step is that our sellers understand, and we disclose that they've been told that even though we don't have a set compensation to the buyer agent for producing a buyer to our table, we are understanding or acknowledge the fact that a buyer's agent may choose to incorporate their agreed upon fee with their buyer. Because again, remember, every buyer is required. Oh, I can make this rhyme in a second. Every buyer is required to sign buyer agreements, whether they're exclusive or non-exclusive. Essentially, nothing has really changed with the way we work with buyers.
That's the part that some agents would refer to as business as usual.
The specific change is that, yes, a buyer agreement means you owe fiduciary duties to the buyer. Mm-hmm. What's better than that? Buyers should be represented. Mm-hmm. And in exchange for that, there's an agreed upon fee. It's no more, well, whatever the seller might be giving out on our MLSs, because we don't display it on the MLSs anymore. Now, this is where I see the difference in the industry. Some companies have decided to go about, I believe, because I've seen their paperwork, that they still set a fee. And I think that I disagree with it. I think that it goes back to the opportunity. I do not know what a buyer and a buyer agent have agreed to.
So why would I offer it?
And there should be no such thing as a typical fee or a common fee.
That's the whole lawsuit. There's no standard. Yeah. There's no.
I will never say to my seller, the typical fee is going to be. No, I'm going to say, we wait and see.
Yeah.
I'm rhyming way too much.
No, because you might see offers come in where they're either being paid directly from their buyer to make their offer more attractive and not have that compensation rolled into their 30-year mortgage.
Which means now that our sellers get to net more.
They net more.
At the end of the day,
opportunity.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, I would never go into too many details on an online forum. At the end of the day, it definitely opens up to great opportunities for buyers to hopefully negotiate great offers on the houses that they ultimately want to own and live in, and for sellers, opportunity to understand the compensation structure, and also, so I know what I'm getting into, and then when offers come in, it comes back to negotiating. Yeah. If you don't have confidence in your agent that they can negotiate, well, that's a problem.
What'd you hire them for? Exactly. Yeah. So the buyer's agents who freaked out when this all went into effect.
Well, I'm going to correct you.
Okay.
They were not buyer's agents. Buyer's agents that were always taking buyers out and not representing them and having them customer relationship
technically,
and relying on the compensation that was brought to them by the listing agent. Ultimately, they were not at the time buyer's agents, even though the buyer may have thought they were working for them and in their best interest.
Yeah.
So when it comes to buyer's agents, I know a few of them, and there's very few of them out there that consistently work by contract. And this is before the rules changed, contract, compensation, and dictated their compensation with their buyer, regardless of what the seller and the agent was doing, which is actually what the NAR made us all agree to do. So they were ahead of their time. And I know a few of them, one in particular is a very good friend of mine, and they did not get scared. They were always working by contract.
Always doing it,
Yeah. I think that the scary part is actually just about responsibility.
Yeah, it's responsibility.
Because now you have a contract and an agreement.
You've been hired,
you are supposed to work in their best interest.
But you've technically, it's not casual anymore. You've been hired to do this job, and you have to show up and show your value. So, you know, what makes it worth it for a buyer to pay their agent or to hire a buyer's agent is that you're showing your value. Yeah. You have to actually show up and do the job. I had a buyer recently who was making offers and losing houses left and right. And I met him at an open house. He called me one day and was just like, hey, I want to put an offer on this house. Could you help me negotiate this deal? And 20 minutes working with me, he had an accepted offer after failing for months. And it's, you know, you got to know your value, you got to show up, and you got to do the job.
I know. Buyers that are losing out on houses, I suddenly start working with them, and then it's like I come up to the listing agent, I'm like, so what's it going to take to make this deal work? And the listing agent immediately says, oh, definitely not that. What do I have to do to get your buyer this house so you can stop that?
But the other thing you're hearing a lot on the listing side, I get calls nonstop, is your seller offering compensation.
Oh, I love that question.
Oh my God.
I love that question because it's amazing how many different ways I get to say, and I put it in a text and I copied and pasted it to other agents. When we get that question, when I get that question, I've every time I'm trying, let me evolve this. So now it's down to, my seller is very well prepped. They are understanding and acknowledge that offers by buyer's agents may or may not include their buyer agreement compensation agreed to with their buyer.
There you go.
And there we go.
I've sent that and in response gotten, so no, you're not offering.
Did I say no in that text?
What?
I told them my seller is smart. I told them we're prepared. We're prepared to pay you, poor dude.
By law, we have to present the offer. We don't have a choice. So whatever the offer says, we're presenting it. If it says that you're asking for 8% commission, I got to present it.
You know, like my buyer, my choice, right?
There you go. Not to make it political. You act like you've been there before. Stop making that phone call. Whatever you have agreed with your buyer, put it on your offer.
Speaking of political, did you know that Lee Zeldin bought my listing?
Did he?
Yes. So I'm wondering if I'm going to get a call for, hey, Ted. Hey, Ted. I think I remember you. Oh, wait. I know you remember me. I send you a calendar and I give you a pie every Thanksgiving. I know you remember me. Hey, Ted. He actually went to school with my little brother, too.
Oh.
Hey, Ted. I guess I'm going to sell my house. He's apparently, he's off to Washington.
Well, I hope
Mr. Lee goes to Washington.
I hope he does a really good job.
Yeah. Hey, motivated. Ambitious. I remember when he did buy that house, he was actually just getting out of, I guess, his I wish I had paid more attention. He just getting, not out of the military, but I guess out of the military. Good kid, lawyer. He's younger than me, so I get to call him a kid. Obviously, he wanted to get into politics and give back to the community. He started with his own community. He grew up in the area that he bought the house in. And the rest is, hopefully it's going to be, a listing. So we'll see. Maybe at least tickets to the inauguration.
Oh, man.
Anyway, side note, I am never, Bing will attest to this. I do not get political, right?
That was the most political.
Yeah, seriously.
Without being political. It's always got to lead to a listing. There's nothing less political than that. So anyway, but back to the NAR rules. You've heard me speak about this. I speak so non-passionate about so many things, and I just love. I love it. I love this way of doing business. I get to just be the seller's agent. And I love it. I've been a seller's agent so much more often than a buyer's agent that it feels so nice and natural. And case in point, my compensation structure personally is different when it comes to doing my job for the seller side, whereas doing my job for the buyer side, because I know that I'm not going to have to clean the buyer's house.
It's a totally different job.
Sometimes the seller has to
totally
clean their
different
house.
job.
Yeah.
It really is. There's a reason why it's different.
It is different, and in the industry, I think we don't pay enough attention to specializing. Every other industry, whether it's medicine or law, Side note: please hire a real estate attorney to do your real estate transaction.
Who's going to answer the phone
attorneys.
when we call them?
Yeah.
We're trying to help.
My brother's an attorney, but I know he's not a real estate attorney. So guess what? He didn't even do his own real estate transaction. So specializing, and I think maybe agents should do a little more of that.
Sure.
But back and case in point, I think a lot of agents are doing a little more. Some agents are sprinkling in a little commercial. I believe them. I remember hearing this word at some seminar. Oh my God, I hate it when people make up words, but I do have to make fun of them. Resimmercial agent. So this is a resimmercial agent. I think let's keep it simple. I definitely specialize in residential real estate, and I've done commercial transactions as well. So anyway, it's called negotiating. And once you know how to negotiate, I think you know how to negotiate.
I think that today we laid out the technicalities.
And wait, there's another one. And then I do see a lot of agents wanted to sprinkle in a little luxury market, and shameless plug to my company, where we have a special designation, global luxury. And I think that you're still going to do your job, and I think you're still, a good agent is still going to do everything in the best interest of their seller and market the property and do everything smart and good. But it doesn't hurt to have a global luxury designation next to your name. It gives you a little bit of extra clout. So anyway, but I have noticed that, and that's another way of expanding. The goal is to work smarter. I'm never going to say the second part, because I think if someone wants to make a great deal of money, they have to work really hard.
Absolutely.
So anyway, so side note to that. Yeah. You were saying something.
Well, so, we got into the technicalities of this, and this was, I think, more directed towards other agents in a way. But I would like to, on another episode, talk about, let's have this conversation directly towards the consumer. Let's dumb it down as much as we can.
Oh, to the consumer.
And honestly, let's see how we can help you. Like, one of my big things.
Let me help you.
Yeah, no, but one of my big things with that other contract, before they changed it, I used to write in all kinds of stuff on our listing contract. And now I don't have to do that anymore, because the new contract essentially is what my old contract that I used to write up all over. I don't have to do it anymore. The whole thing was, I like to sleep at night. If I can help you save money and achieve your goals, I'm going to do it.
It's not about money. It really is.
It's not. A lot of the time, it's all relative. If I can get you to where you're going, and I have a client right now whose sole motivation is, I need to be home for my kids' bedtime. That's the best motivation I've ever had. I'm selling their house here. I'm moving them to there because we can't have this commute.
He gets home so late that it's not there.
I love that motivation. I can relate to that motivation to no end.
I could fix it right now.
Did I tell you I was in a band? I used to have very late nights.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you that?
So if a client tells me I want to make sure I'm always home for my kids' bedtime, change their bedtime.
Change your bedtime. Very nice. Become a realtor to get some flexibility.
I have said this, and I it's my own phrase, and I botch it every time I say it.
You haven't botched a single phrase on this podcast yet,
no,
Ted, so I don't think. I think you're
real estate is for anybody, and yet it's not for everybody. So I'm not usually that person that says, "Oh, you should get into real estate." I'm usually the person that might say, You think real estate's right for you?
Oh yeah, really. Yeah. See, I
have said it to agents. And,
I have a lot of confidence in people.
And they walked out the door and they said, I'm staying in real estate and I'm not going anywhere. They are still in real estate and they actually do about one transaction every 3 years.
Oh gosh. Well, they're sticking with it. It's good.
They're not liars. Anyway, see, I told you there's a fake Ted G. He's a real asshole. Put him on a podcast one day. Let me tell you another thing.
I can't wait for him to come on as a guest on the Real Ted G podcast.
He probably needs his hair back. Yeah. So, well, anyway, we covered most of our points, and I'm really happy. But wait, did I cover my most important point? Back to the recruiting conversation. What changed in your brain from the moment you met me once and you were working for a different company, and you did a podcast with me and you were working for a different company, and did I call you to set up a recruiting, or did you call me?
At the time you told me you don't recruit very much, and you were full of shit.
It's like when I tell clients, I don't usually list houses.
It's a mix of, it's a mix of university. I don't say it right. University. I'm putting the wrong emphasis. Okay.
You're putting the wrong emphasis on the wrong infractions.
It was a mix of university and, honestly, like when I came here to do your podcast, I remember I was having a really bad day.
You were having a bad day.
I was having a really, really bad day, and I was really, really unprepared. And I walked in, I wasn't expecting it to be a video podcast. I wasn't expecting there to be a producer and all this shit. And I was just like, oh my God. And I don't know.
We just talked shit.
Yeah, it was university. Yeah, but it started as a really smooth transaction. And I think we were a little impressed with each other. And honestly, you were encouraging too. I was definitely done treading water.
Encouraging or encouraging? No, because incorrigible I've been called before.
Encouraging. No, like you let it be known. You were like, wow, every time you call me, it's with good news.
It really was.
And it really was.
I mean, if any agent out there wants to ever do more than one transaction, make sure the first transaction, sometimes I called, sometimes you called, but
I knew if I called you needing something, that you were going to do it.
Like my client would say, hey, Ted, what about the appraisal? And this is Lou. He grew on me so much. He started out as the father-in-law of a client.
They're still
and
in
I was
touch
like, you're
with
on the appointment.
They send each other Christmas cards.
Yeah, and you're like, hey Ted, I haven't heard about the appraisal. And I'm like, ooh, me neither. So I would text and be like, and then you'd be like, oh, maybe I would call. Sometimes I like to hear the words, and you'd say, oh yeah, they waived the appraisal. They're good. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. Hey, Lou, they waived the appraisal.
We were ready. We were ready to close way before you guys were ready, and it was just like, all right, wonderful.
Yeah. So I mean, that alone meant that the next time you had an offer on one of my properties, I would actually use that story, and I would say, well, this guy, and again, I can call you a kid because you're that much younger. This kid, the last time I had a transaction with him, I guess is that wrong of me? It probably plants a seed in my cellar. Yeah, I'm probably doing it on some really horrible, evil purpose. But this guy, this person, the last time I had a transaction with him, I'm going to tell you, and you could call Lou yourself. Every time I spoke to him, it was like, they waived the appraisal. Yeah, we have a closing date.
but the reason why that transaction went the way that it did, my clients trusted me. When I told them, use this person, use this person, use this person, these are the people who I talk to every single day, that they're going to answer the phone when I call them. If there's a fire to put out, they're showing up with the extinguishers. Like, they were the people who show up and who know their shit. And when somebody trusts me and uses this team, it's how it goes.
Yeah. When somebody just hands you the keys.
Yeah.
I just closed on a transaction. I went there on a Thursday, and the mom said, "Oh yeah, I'm moving out. I'm leaving tomorrow." I'm like, "Oh, okay. I'll need a key." She hands me the key. The daughter is the owner of the house. We do everything through Dotloop. I've actually, to this day, only interacted with the daughter once when I first went to the property way back when it was just a fresh little budding lead. And lo and behold, 3 months later, they got more money than they thought they could get. They had a hassle-free transaction. They didn't even have to move one piece of furniture out of their house. They didn't even come in for the closing. Their hundreds of thousands of dollars are being delivered by FedEx today. And there we go, in a nutshell. And if all transactions went like that, I would definitely be in the group category of, I make too much for what I do. But all transactions do not go like that.
No, absolutely not. But it's the ones that start with trust are the ones that go successfully. And I told this story on the Scrapped podcast. I was selling a friend's house, and at the listing table, it was, "We trust you, whatever you say. And then I'm hearing from mutual friends, "Oh my God, I'm like really stressed out because Michael's doing this on the listing and I don't know. And then I exceeded expectations by over 50 grand, more than what they wanted. We're 75,000 over list, and they tried to raise my commission in the end. And I absolutely didn't take it because, again, like to sleep at night. These are good friends and all that. But it's only because they trusted me. If we had done things their way, it would not have happened.
Not that my approach is right for everybody. How long have we gone? How long is it?
1:15 about.
All right. Not that my approach is right for everybody, because I actually do have a very well. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I have the detachment. You're taking the bump in commission, is what you're saying. Oh, I would have, because I differentiate. You never kiss on the lips. It's not the bumping commission. It's like, oh, you want to pay me a bonus? If it's an appropriate time to accept a bonus, I would.
I hear you. And it would have been. I look at it. I go, specifically this person. What would they have done if the roles were reversed?
I may or may not have also used my other line. Mr. Seller, that's so nice of you. But as I would tell the person, if we were doing the opposite attempt, I would say the time to negotiate compensation was at the listing appointment, and that's when we did. And I'm very happy that you feel that way.
That's nice.
I mean, that is the I would probably do the same thing with you.
I don't know. But I also know that person is going to refer me to anybody anytime he hears the word realtor, he's going to go, "Oh, I need to introduce you to somebody." And
yes, don't forget that.
Referrals, right?
Referrals are the building blocks for an amazing real estate career.
Yeah.
There we go. I'm gonna try to package all these.
That's the back nine.
That is
a few of mine.
Well, it's nice if you get to a stage in your real estate career where you don't have to work too hard for your food, where there's a lot of different ways to get listings and make sales, expired listings, for sale by owner listings, going out, door knocking, and all of that stuff is something that you definitely do when you're a beginner in the beginning stages of your career.
You're planting seeds.
Yes, plant those seeds, and then those seeds grow into trees where the leaves come off and you get the business, I guess. But yes, the referrals are, listings are the name of the game. Referrals are definitely the last name.
So next time on the Real Ted G podcast, going forward, I think this was, some of these are going to be for realtors, some of them are going to be for consumers, some of them are going to have nothing to do with real estate, and we're just going to talk about whatever Netflix show Ted's watching.
Yeah, and songs. Don't forget songs.
Yeah, songs and our tour dates. Whatever. Is there an email address that if anybody has anything specific that they would like to either talk about or comment on that they could?
Well, to really complicate it, I guess it's the realtedg@gmail.com.
Perfect.
Yeah. Wow. I guess that would be the email to use.
Send us an email for sure.
Definitely. Or, hey, you two, the two of you that are watching this right now. No, it'd be cool to see some feedback. I don't know. I like this one much better.
The pilot?
Yeah.
Well, it was a different showrunner. He got fired. So
yes, he did. Yes, it is what it is. I enjoy these podcasts. I enjoy them because they're almost cathartic to me, and at the end of the day, if we just brought a little bit of value to someone, or maybe we made a funny joke, or maybe someone just says, I like that approach, and maybe I'd like to work in that kind of environment, that's great too.
Yeah.
Always hiring. And this is the real Ted G. That's the real Michael Ragosta.
Oh,
and
wow.
I pronounce your name differently every time
It's
I say
fine.
it, right?
Let's keep them guessing.
Yeah.
We'll never know what the real one is.
The real Michael Ragosta. And this is the real Ted G podcast.